Have you not listened to your elders, my friend?
I've listened to the elder, but I don't listen to.
Okay, you have.
Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast with 3 generations of KISS fans telling you why we love it loud.
This might be an outtake reel. It's been a minute. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Right Between the Eyes podcast, a KISS podcast that shows and tells you on this episode why we love it loud. I'm one of your hosts, Rob Myers. Welcome to this special episode. It is a solo episode of the show, and you will probably see more of that off and on throughout the year. Again, starting off in 2025, scheduling has plagued us. If you went back to our last episode, where the Carusos unfortunately had to bow out of the last episode, so I called in a favor to my good buddy Xander from KISS Army Things, which this episode circles around KISS Army Things and what he is doing in the KISS community. So I just want to shout that out there. I'm going to be putting, hopefully I remember to do it this time, scrolling underneath all of our social media outlets and everything like that, so you can see them. If not, they are down in the show notes of the show. But like I said, I'm one of your hosts, Rob, and this is a special 2025 first episode edition of the year for us. This is a KISS vinyl tag. I love doing these, and I hope I didn't miss the communication that was going around amongst us KISS vinyl collectors or KISS podcasts. If I did, I'm sorry, guys, but I saw it was out there, so I wanted to jump on. I've got to watch a few other shows yet, and I want to go to the shows that put this list together. So I'm going to actually Xander's page right now. This was put together, the 2025 KISS vinyl tag is put together by these group of individuals. Hopefully I'm going to have their information scrolling through. A group of KISS podcasters and vinyl collectors put together this list to tag us other KISS vinyl collectors. And here are the names of the individuals that are part of it. We have Dylan, the record spinner, who had done it in 2023, that had kind of got us KISS fans all excited about doing the vinyl tag. And I participated in that in 2024. But we have Rick from It's All For You Demon, Brant from In My Head channel, Glen, Tales of a KISS Geek, and like I said, Xander from KISS Army Things. So I have my list here of prompts, and if you freeze, you can probably see what what my answers are here. So I'm going to do this all in one shot. Xander was doing something really cool in his. Spoilers, watch his thing. He changes his shirt every time, which is really cool. I could do that as well. I have enough KISS shirts that I could probably do that. But I'm going to take the easy way out and not have to refold a bunch of shirts. So this is the shirt you're going to see. But I'm going to shoot this in one shot here. And I'm going to edit because my big fat butt is going to be in the, the vinyl bin, pulling all of these out and putting them back. So I don't have a whole stack of records to pull out. So I'll show whatever I'm going to show. You'll see an edit. That is me putting these back in their spots and the locations that they might be here in the room. So you don't need to know how the sausage is made. Let's just serve up the 2025 KISS vinyl tag sausage. That sounds really weird. So we're going to go. The first one, I'm going to read it here, is Never Enough, the most copies of a KISS album. Now, this is something that in the vinyl tag that I know it's been around for the last couple for the KISS vinyl tag, and I think even just the vinyl tags in general. There's usually an album or two or one that, you know, is a favorite or near or dear, or something we just keep winding up buying the same album because it's a different variant pressing or it's a new release or whatever. So my the most copies of a KISS album, the Never Enough title, has not changed since the last one. But if this is the first time to the channel, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to show I have 2 albums that are still tied. I have 4 copies of both of these albums. So we'll start chronologically from album release, and I'll show you what they are. So this is where an edit is going to go right here. I had to go get a chair or something to prop stuff on because I didn't have my table handy. Again, you don't need to know how the sausage is made. So the first album that comes in for the most copies that I have, and this is 4 for both of these, is the first one is Creatures of the Night. So I spent some time in my spare time that I have and made labels, and I looked up, and you'll see, I'm going to talk about an app called Discogs. If you aren't cataloging your vinyl with it, this is not a plug for Discogs. I'm not getting anything for it, but I'll try to put it up on screen here. You can see we're rock and roll over. This is telling me, and again, this is poor. You'll see an image of Discogs here in a little bit because it's going to feature in there. There's Sonic Boom that I just happened to click on. But it tells me everything about the pressings. If you're reading into the dead wax or the UPC code that's on it, it has a great barcode scanner that you can scan and it'll catalog it. And then even just some of the numbers that are in here, you can actually see and find your specific copy of the album. And it's great to catalog. So in the case of Xander from his last one going, do I have Paul Stanley's solo album? I can go through because, you know, after you collect for so long, sometimes you forget what is in your collection. I've got everything scanned, everything cataloged, that I know which version of which album I have. So when I go to a record store and I go, oh, it's Creatures of the Night, I look looking at it and I can see like, oh, it's this pressing that I have from 1982, an original pressing from PRC recording company pressing. So this is an original release from 1982. So this will start the first one that I have. I think I have all these cataloged correctly, or this would be really silly. Then we jump to a 2014 pressing of the album, and I think I've got it up there as well, so you can see all of the, whoops, I'm backwards, all of the information that I have here. And this is just something I do, just one of those labelings you would do for addresses or whatever I put back here. And I also sleeve, I talk about this all the time, I also sleeve mine on the outside of the jacket, so I'm not putting and I've got the liner notes in here as well. So that way, and again, I like doing these for this. I see other record collectors doing this, so I'm not the first to do this. That way I'm not taking the record in and out of the jacket, and creating this awful ring wear that you'll see on a lot of the classic albums and stuff. So 2014 pressing. Then I didn't do it to this one, but this is the Half Speed remastered that I believe came out. See, I don't have it listed up here. I don't have it done yet. But this is when they did it. Now it's 25. Is it 2 years ago that they did the Creatures of the Night when the box set and all that stuff came out? So this is the Half Speed remaster copy, which sounds amazing. And then the big one, the 40th anniversary 3LP color vinyl. And it came, I found a slip mat at a local record store, so I had to really track down a lot of these goodies. And then all of the, there's the liner notes for it. And then this, I believe, comes on, yes, a wonderful blue there. One of my favorite albums, easily in my top 5, top 3, top 4, right around there. It's one of those that I go back to this album so much. So there is the first album that comes in with 4 albums. Let's go to the next one that comes in at 4. So this is where I turn around and put all the stuff away. Okay, the second album that comes in at having 4 copies still in my collection. This is one that this will probably go down to number 10. I'm just playing my hand here real quick, but as you'll see as we get there, the other vinyl collectors out there know what the order of all these are, but I'm shutting up. It is Revenge. So this is the 1994 H&H pressing Blue Marble. So this is one I'm so happy to have back in my collection. I told a story of an ex-wife that made me throw a lot of my rock stuff away. This was one of the casualties. So when I got back into vinyl, this is one I had to have. Paid a little bit more than I wanted for. I might have included that somewhere else in here. But a 1994 H&H pressing. There was a blue marble version, which this is, and then there is a gray marble version. The gray marble version sounds a little bit dirtier. Not that this sounds amazing or anything, but is close to a original pressing of Revenge that I have. And this is just one that's near and dear to my heart. If there is ever a fire, pray, please God, don't let there be. This is what I'm definitely going back for, because I have to maintain this in my KISS collection. The second one that comes in is, again, Revenge 2014 pressing. And again, some of these 2014 pressings, a lot of them, as this podcast was first getting started with Nick and Nico, I know Nick was getting the bug to buy a vinyl, and I was getting the bug to buy a vinyl. And I was coming right at the end of being able to still find a lot of these albums online during COVID. And then as I was able to go back to stores, I was still finding vinyl of the 2014 releases for almost all of the KISS albums, that I'm pretty close to being able to check off all of the 2014 releases. I still have some holes in the collection, but 2014 pressing. Then we move into another 2014 pressing. This is a German pressing of Revenge. So there's the old Germany right up here, and all its info. Again, Discogs is a great place to be able to catalog stuff. Download the app if you need help using it. Send me a message. It's pretty easy to do, but I can't recommend it enough. And then a big one is the 30th anniversary pressing of Revenge. I missed out on the picture disc, which will go into something down towards the bottom of the list. But again, that's probably another one I would like to get, but the prices on those are going so high. Back in the day, I'll save that for later. So that rounds out the number one for Never Enough multiple copies of a single KISS album. In this case, I'm tied at 4 for 2 albums. All right, for the second list here, the second item, She's So European, a foreign release. Now, I very easily could have just held up the Revenge copy with German pressing and go, hey, here's a German pressing. I could have done that with a couple other ones. I know I like to throw Carnival of Souls in here whenever I can. But I think the fun part about doing these vinyl tags is trying to, in some way, show something new from our collection. Because let's be honest, the days of having friends come over and sift through your album collection, sometimes the chance that we get to show our album collection is in a video or something like this. So sometimes going, I really want to try and find a way to show this album, or really make me dig through my record collection and go, oh, I totally forgot I had this. I haven't had a chance to show it or show and tell, talk about it. So I went with something a little different here, and maybe I've shown this once before, I don't remember, but it is Killers. So when Xander was going through his, I saw his Elder that he had, his Japanese release, with kind of sort of this artwork on the Japanese version. And I remembered, oh, I have one from the Netherlands. And you can see the Netherlands written right there. So this is a Record and Film Works label made in Holland, aka the Netherlands. So don't at me, some people over there. That's how it's listed on Discogs. This was one of those albums that I could very easily have put somewhere else on this list. And I still talk about this album today, of a greatest hits album a la 1982, that there are 4 brand new tracks on it. And it wasn't like, oh, these were B-sides or something left over. Being able to find these back in 1989, 1990, when I became a KISS fan, and when I had it on cassette, that I was hearing brand new KISS songs that I had never, ever heard of before. And at that time I had gotten just about everything. So I can only imagine back in 1982, some people that may have come across this to hear like Nowhere to Run and Down on Your Knees and I'm a Legend, and I would be something to go, this is totally amazing that we're getting 4 brand new KISS songs on an album. And I remember just being blown away, thinking I knew everything I could possibly know in 1989 and 1990 within my less than 6 months of being a KISS fan and being blown away by those tracks. So this is an album I also come back to quite a bit. Killers, this is my Holland copy, and it's the only version of this album that I have. So there you go. Number 3, this is Hotter Than Hell, 2024 score. So an album that we got in 2024. And again, this goes into number 10 a little bit. There were multiple albums through the release of 2024 from KISS KOL, and I would see some stuff in record stores that I thought about picking up. I decided not to because I was buying a couple other things already, and this would have been like album 4 for, you know, Rock and Roll Over, or album 4 for The Elder, whatever album it was. It was something that I didn't see. It wasn't like You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best, or Alive 4, where I was like, oh, I got to have this, which I'll talk about some of those later in the list. But KISS albums I bought in 2024, 0. This is the first year since starting the podcast that, you know, my wife's like, eventually you're going to buy at least a version of every album you have, and then there's going to be nothing new to find. Well, there's always something new to find, but I didn't do that this year. Very rare. I was wanting to try and get all of the KISS vinyl that I could off of KOL, and KOL has just been doing some weird and wacky stuff. I'll talk about that in number 10, so I won't belabor that. So I thought this was going to be a goose egg. And if you've been watching our channel long enough, when I'm showing anything, I try and tie it into the overall KISS picture that I possibly can, and going, I'm not going to limit this to just the KISS name. It's going to encompass KISS band members. So because of that, Record Store Day 2024 was very good to our boy Eric Carr. So since we've already looked at Creatures of the Night and he's got his KISS makeup here, this is the Unfinished Business box set Record Store Day release. A great release, an album that if you would ask me of all the albums that I have on CD that are going to get a vinyl treatment, I wouldn't have thought they would have done something like this for Eric Carr. Just what a beautiful release, and a great way to commemorate his memory and just continue to honor the way the Eric Carr family has. So it's in this plastic baggie and everything, but the eyes do light up, which I would like to try and get it to light up, but it's kind of a pain to pull it in and out of the baggie, as I had to kind of craft one. But you've seen it, these eyes do light up, and I'm sitting here trying to get them to light up, but I think I've got to be able to physically touch it. But what a fun release. And if you don't have it, you can listen to this on Spotify, at least the original version of this. I think it's on Apple or iTunes as well. But just some really cool versions of stuff that Eric had that's unfinished, and then some unreleased tracks, obviously, and then some covers of stuff that Eric was involved in, like the ZO2 guys, Joey Casada, drummer extraordinaire, is on one of the tracks for All Hell's Breaking Loose with his band ZO2 right there. So a really cool thing. So I'm counting it a member of KISS in KISS makeup. I think that counts. So this was my KISS pickup for 2024. Okay, number 4, King of the Mountain, favorite copy of a KISS album. And because Revenge has already been shown, I could have shown any one of those again and pulled it up, but I wanted to do something new, do something different that we haven't already seen. And the banner is kind of over my shoulder. One of my favorite albums, and the album that got me into KISS, is of course Hot in the Shade. I first got it on cassette, and about the time that, you know, vinyl was phasing its way out in lieu of CDs right around the corner. Actually, at the time of Hot in the Shade, you know, it's like, hey, we have all this extra space. That's why there's 15 tracks on Hot in the Shade, because we can put so much more music on a CD. And I got it on cassette, then got it on CD. And then as I started going through my KISS journey, I realized, oh, record companies were still putting out, like BMG, Columbia House, were still putting out vinyl. And there may have been a smattering of others, but the prominent way to get a vinyl in 1989 and maybe into 1990 for a little while was through a record company, BMG or Columbia House. So that's what this is. This is the BMG Clubhouse edition, Canadian pressing. You can see my information right there for Hot in the Shade. Without this album, I would not be a KISS fan. And this album is a top 5 album all day for me. It is a top 3 album all day for me. Back in the time where all you had was, a few cassettes here and there for about a month and a half period. Aside from a mixed cassette tape that a classmate had made for me, I can't talk, that had, like a mixtape of Kiss songs. This was the only album I had to listen to until my birthday in 1999. So I know this album inside out, backwards and frontwards, and I talk about it. We're going to do a show this year called I Didn't Know I Wasn't Supposed to Like That. All of the, I wouldn't say the hate, but the people are like, oh, Hot in the Shade, this, that, or the other. I'm like, really? I love this album. I don't get why people don't like or love this album, because that's not my experience with it. So I found this a few years ago, right around Christmas time, at a record shop that was actually getting ready to go out of business. And ironically, 6 months later, they came back. So the guy sold this from his collection. He's like, I know you're a Kiss fan. So now being able to say I have a version on every format for one of my favorite Kiss albums, and the Kiss album that made me a Kiss fan. This is the BMG 1989 original release of Hot in the Shade. Number 5, I Want You, if I'm reading that right, greatest hits record. So show your favorite greatest hits album in the Kiss catalog, or that you have on vinyl. And there's a couple different ways I could do it. I've got a couple versions of double platinum down there. I have Kiss World that Xander has shown. I've got a couple versions of that. But the Kiss album, greatest hits album that I go back to, that was the second Kiss album I ever got. I had Hot in the Shade. And then for my birthday, with some birthday money, I bought this album on cassette and was able to find it on vinyl about 2 years ago now, is Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. And this is another BMG Marketing Incorporated, or one of those record tape a penny, buy X number of albums over the course of 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. This was one, becoming a Kiss vinyl collector, I thought I am going to struggle to find a copy of this album. And looking through the flip of a local record store, I should say local, I got to drive a little bit to get there. I haven't been there in a while. But I remember looking at the wife going, they have a copy of Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits. But this was going to be a hard one. This has not been re-released other than the box set for the 2014. So I would love for, again, this is going to go down into 10, but I would love for them to start to go back through and re-release some of these again for the general population. But Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits, 1988 pressing. And again, back in the days where this was only the second Kiss album that I have, and the story that I tell about this album, the version of Beth that I know when I close my eyes and hear it, it is the Eric Carr version of Beth. That is the first version of Beth I ever heard. So when I eventually got around to getting Destroyer, hearing Peter Criss's version of Beth, it didn't quite sound right, because this was the first version of Beth that I hear. And I love Eric Carr's version over Peter Criss. I'm just going to say it. So here it is for, what is this, number 5, show a greatest hits album. I'm changing my list right now at the moment. I wanted to pair something off of Xander's here for, this is Lonely as the Hunter, show your most prized album in your collection. So Xander knows a couple things that I have. So yes, I'm going to show that thing that we like showing off, because we both can't believe that we own a copy of this album. So Xander, if you know what I'm talking about, that's going to go down to 7, where Discogs is going to come in here to kind of show that. But I was going to pair another one with you, and I was going to show a Live 4. I'll tell you about it. This is my way of kind of talking about it. I won't show it. But I have a copy of a Live 4, but it is a bootleg copy of a Live 4, because that's one of those I thought I'm never going to see this album. And any time that I do see it, the price is so high, there's no way I'm even going to entertain a conversation with the wife going, hey, I want to spend X number of dollars, almost in 3 digits to try and get, I can't do it. So being able to get a bootleg copy of it, so I just have a version of it, was going to be my way of going, look, I've got a Live 4 as well. So I'd like to hear that. a story from Xander, how he got his copy of Alive 4, because the way that I got mine, I sent him the link like, hey, they have it up again. That's how I got my copy. So when he was showing his, I thought, oh, he's going to play coy and he's going to say that he has a real copy and not show it. And then he actually really did. So that's long-winded to say that I'm going to change my answer. I would say most prized was I was going to lean into, I have a version of Alive 4, a version, because it's so hard to come by, and it's a prized possession because I thought this was a Kiss album I was never going to be able to get a hold of. So this is the way that I have to do it. This, and again, going back to the beginning of the video where I said the fun of doing these vinyl tags is getting a chance to go through your record collection and saying, hey, here's some cool albums that I have that I don't get to talk about. We don't get to do show and tell unless Xander drives all the way from Indiana, that we can sit back here and flip through all of our stuff. And maybe that'll happen one of these days. I go his way, he goes mine. But you know what I mean? The chance where you can sit and flip through, this is how we're going to do it. So this is a chance for me to show, I would say it's most prized because I didn't really think this was a thing I was going to find in the wild. So here we go. Okay, here we go. It is a copy of the radio promotion for Lick It Up from the forthcoming album of the same name. So this, back in your radio station days, if you were a radio disc jockey, you got this, and it is just one big single. You can see where the dead wax is in here. And I'll actually pull this out so you can kind of see. There's nothing on the back. There's no liner notes that I know of that are in this at all. No liner notes, because I would have had them out in here. And you can see down here in the bottom, it's just Polygram Records 1983, all rights reserved, unauthorized reproduction, blah, blah, the same normal stuff. So this is actually brown. I don't know if I can hold it up to the light. You probably won't be able to see it. This is where Rick would say, come into the light. But you can actually kind of see through it. I don't know if you can see my face through it or not. But when you hold it up to the light, it's actually a brown, dingy haze. So this is what the radio stations would have played. Very thin, so you can see that there. So I don't know how rare these are. People are like, oh, I've got all different kinds of copies. So I was at a local record store in Columbus, Ohio. I think it was called Spoonful of Records, if I remember right. That I had some birthday money and I wanted to go record shopping. And this was setting up as like one of their wall records. And it was reasonably priced too. So I wouldn't say this comes in, what is this, is the most prized possession. I'm air quoting prized possession with this because I didn't even know this was a thing that I would be able to come across unless I knew somebody. Like, yes, I knew there were promo copies at radio stations or whatever, but in my mind, sometimes I think they just have the whole record, not the individual singles. And I've seen many throughout my time of collecting, so I know different, albums exist. I've seen it for Tears Are Falling and stuff, but to be able to just go into a record store and somebody, it's probably a disc jockey, got rid of a bunch of stuff and this was up to be able to buy. And I don't even remember how much I paid for it. It's probably no higher than $40, but going, holy crap, I have something that was played on the radio, probably in Ohio. I would like to think that, would I have tuned into a Columbus radio station in 1983 and heard this version on the radio, like this physical album? Chances are I probably did. So prized possession in that way. I owned something from a radio station. So again, I found a way to shoehorn this into the KISS collection. So number 5, air quotes, prized possession, the KISS collection. I guess it's kind of cool. That was number 6, by the way. Did I say 5? I meant 6. Hopefully I'm writing it on the screen correctly. Number 7. Again, I think I'm reading these correct. Got Love for Sale, the most valuable in your KISS collection. Xander, this is that moment where I'm going to show the thing that both you and I have, that we're so excited that we have this thing, that I actually bought this in 2010 from KOL. I went online and bought it, and I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool if I bought one of every color of these? And my wife's like, do you really need 5 copies of the same album? Can you imagine if I had bought all 5 in the colors that they were? I would have really had one of the unicorns in the Kiss collection, and I could have sold all of those off to wine. Yes, you know what it is. Sonic Boom. I kicked myself that I threw away the hype sticker. Normally I would have it set up here. So yes, I have the purple version of this original release. I think if I would have gone back in time, maybe I would have done red or green. Eric Singer, I would probably done, but for a long time, purple was my favorite color, so I bought it for that. I'm just glad I have a copy. I can't believe that Kiss has not released it now. I thought for sure, when they got the rights back to this, I was like, yep, on the anniversary, we're going to see it. So part of me thinks like, okay, guys, now's the opportunity. But all I'm thinking is that just makes this more and more rare as time goes by. So I'm kind of talking here. I'm going to put something up on the screen. I'm not exactly sure where this is going to be. Probably and this is one of those where you've got to be you've got to be legit doing this and go, okay, do you have all the inserts? Again, like Xander showed. I mean, I love this gatefold. I just think it's so cool, the modern era. I was so stoked that they got new costumes, and yes, it does have the poster. It could have been something, I would have put for another prompt down there that Rick had. This very easily could have been, because the bootleggers sometimes don't get the poster. Now, I will say, I would kind of like a bootleg copy of this, because I've heard that the bootleg copy actually sounds better than the original. I've only played this a couple times, and it's not because I'm afraid to play it. I have a very much the attitude of a toy is meant to be played with. When I was collecting action figures, I was not one of those mint on box collectors for the most part. I'm like, screw the next guy. Why should I leave this in pristine condition and I never get to enjoy it? And people are saying, but it won't be worth anything on resale. How much of this am I really going to resale? There are some things I'm thinking about selling as far as action figures go and comic books go. But as far as records, nah. Once it's in my possession, you got to take it out of my cold, dead hand to get it out of my possession. And then here is the purple album. So with this prompt, it also says most valuable. So I took a screenshot of it, and I'm going to put it up here. And if I can do it where I can do it live on here, I will, so you can actually physically see me scroll through it, but I don't think so. So I think it's going to be right here. So I'm going to get on my phone. So this is the point, Rob, where you're editing. This is where you need to follow along and leave it on the screen as long as I have to talk about it. So that's how we're doing this. So the first image that you see here, again, Rob, I'm holding up my phone for you. So this is the Discogs information that you're hopefully seeing on your screen right now of the information on the album. If you could scroll through, you can see some of the track listings and stuff. But I want you to pay attention to the sales history. So the sales history is showing it has sold from the lowest at $33.16 to the minimum range of $152.44 up to its highest at one point in 2024 of $700. So this album for the last, I don't know how long, has stayed right around the $700 to $1,000 mark. Now, in January of 2024, so 23 of last year, 2023 and 2024 of last year in January, as I'm getting all tongue-tied here, it peaked at the $700 and has dropped to $274. $274.96 in like euro. So you can figure out that math or whatever. Okay, Rob, this is where you come back. So I say all that to have a record that has peaked as high as $700 and is now down around 200, it's still, I mean, you're still talking a big ballpark depending on who has what copy, if it's sealed and all that stuff. You're probably easily still in the ballpark of a $500 record up to $700, because let's face it, something is only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So I don't know if somebody was like, okay, I'll let it go for 200 and they didn't know what they had, or they're sitting on so many copies where they're like, I gotta let some of these go. So prized possession, most valuable, I guess, is in this category, is Sonic Boom. That this, for a while, and I could easily had this be 6 and 7, my most prized possession, and my most expensive, most valuable in the collection. Valuable could be valuable what it means to you. I could have easily said Hot in the Shade because of the sentimental reasons, more valuable like that. But I went monetary on this one. And just like Xander, I love this album. I loved this lineup. That and Monster, I think, should be in the conversation of just fun, you could say great, awesome Kiss albums that I love all the tracks off both those albums. So there you go. Sonic Boom, my most valuable album in my collection. Okay, number 8, Give Me More. Favorite album insert. And I didn't know what I was going to show for this. I've got some of the original albums. I have some inserts, some not inserts. But it wasn't until watching Xander's video where I was like, you know what? That's actually a really cool insert. And it was on my mind, like, I'd be able to do it. But again, going back to earlier in the video, this is a chance to show something in my record collection that I really haven't shown before on screen. I don't think I've shown this. If I have, somebody's going to say, hey, Rob, in 2024, you actually showed this, or you did a haul video. So if I did, oh, well, you're seeing it again. The originals. So mine is a second print of this. So even, again, this was something else I didn't think I was going to find. It is really beat up. So it's a chance to do a little bit of show and tell here. You can see it's really torn and ripped here. There's the ring wear. So I haven't got these sleeved, but I left it this way. And I believe, look, there's the insert that Xander showed. And it is the only insert that I have in here. So how ironic is that Xander reminded me of this and went, oh yeah, that's really cool. And this was the thing when I bought this, instantly I opened up and thought, oh, of all the inserts that I hope are in here, I hope this one is in here. Just a fun book. Like he said in his video, just an OG insert. This is what started it all. After we get past the originals and we're into Destroyer and Love Gun and Rock and Roll Over, the inserts just get better and better as time goes on. But just what a cool piece of history. This thing has seen better days too. But the fact that my beat up second pressing of the originals does have the insert is really quite cool when everything else is missing out of this. I do actually still have the sleeved the record sleeves for the individual albums. They've also seen better days, but the fact that all of those are in here as well really made me pick this up. I think I picked it up for $20 again because of the condition, but the booklet alone, I think the price tag, no, I paid $40, my bad. But even then the guy was like, the booklet's in here. And I was like, okay, sold. He goes, but the copy's really beat up. I don't care. The booklet is in here. So there we go. The originals, Give Me More, favorite album insert. Number 9, Sweet Pain. Must have hurt the wallet a little bit. I kind of alluded to this and I almost picked something different. This is the second time that this album is, I'm kind of thought I had record fuzz sleeve on my face. Anyway, what is record fuzz? I don't know. So, something that hurt the wallet. I've already kind of alluded to what the price of this was. I've already shown it. So here it is again, smashes, thrashes, and hits. Being that the hit on the wallet was $80, but it was at the time of, and it was right around this time of year. It's January right now. So I think it might have been tail into January, early February. I know it was snowy out when I went. Saw it the night before on a Thursday night and messaged the record store, and they were like, we can hold it. He said, we can hold it for 24 hours, or we can hold it for 12, something crazy. So somebody has a chance to come get it basically like noon of that day. If you're not here by noon, we're going to put it back up that the album is available. So not that the $80 was astronomical, but at the time, if you ask your significant other, can I spend $80 right now in this moment? And like, we were going to get groceries, we were going to go out to eat. And I'm like, I really want to get this album, and I'm going to have to drive an hour and a half away. So I'm expelling gas. So it's not just the $80. It's the $80 that I'm spending. It's filling the gas tank up. It's doing all that stuff. So the record actually probably cost closer to $100 plus, but when it's all said and done. So that hurt the wallet in the time where, okay, we know that the 30th anniversary of Smashes is coming out and Kiss is probably going to do something. So you start saving for it. But like Xander said in one of his videos, to go right out and spend that kind of money right now at the moment and spend cash when you weren't really thinking about it. That's where this one is. And again, it was the second album I ever owned by the band on cassette. So being able to have it now on cassette, CD, and now vinyl was really big. So this is one that I play quite a bit, because it's like I spent money when we, air quotes, didn't have it at that moment, where the wife is like, nah, it's okay, we're close to your birthday, so go ahead, type of a deal. So that is this. So this album comes in twice, for a greatest hits and for one that hurt the wallet a little bit. Okay, and the final one. So this is one I was kind of like, I really wanted to show one more. So it's not really a tag, more as a wish. So what I wrote here for See You in Your Dreams, what vinyl do you want in 2025? And what I wrote here is anything I can get my hands on.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
And it's got 3 exclamation points behind it because of what I was talking about earlier and alluding to through Kiss Online is so blasted hard to get these anniversaries and releases where, to be perfectly honest, it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth going, by the time that they put it up for, pre-order, like, all right, it's going up at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. If you're somebody who lives on the other side of the world, or if you don't have the availability to be at your desk at work, or you're asleep or whatever, you are going to miss out on all of this stuff selling out in minutes, even when they limit it to 4 copies. And now you got to buy some dumb, stupid shirt to go with it. This is where I'm going off on a rant. And I know that the Record Spinner and Xander and Brant and Rick and, everybody is saying like, well, what's something that you want to hope to be able to get? Not maybe more of a rant. There are things like, you wanted the best, you got the best. I would like to check that off the list somewhere. And I would love for them to do a re-release of that, of going, it'd be great to get an original pressing of it, to get a live 4, to get You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. So I've got a vinyl copy of every single album, and it's original. I'm more of like, I just want to get a copy of the album. I don't care what version it is. But since Kiss has retired, and in that first year now of them being retired, since we're past December 2nd already, in 2024 was really kind of hard. And I was really having a hard time going, am I going to get this album? Like, I was going to get Hot in the Shade. I really wanted the picture disc, but it sold out crazy fast. It was stupidly expensive when it didn't need to be. Sold out in like 9 minutes or something stupid that I did have the money for. But part of that was just, again, to get some dumb shirt. And then I could have got just the regular version of Hot in the Shade. It was on blue vinyl. Well, you already did a blue vinyl for I think it was the 30th anniversary of it, if I remember right. This was the 35th. So my copy is transparent blue. Now this is just a solid blue. There's no aspect. Now I'm just buying vinyl reissues for the sake of buying vinyl reissues when I already own 2 copies of that album, again, which goes to a Revenge, where I would like to get an original pressing of Revenge because it is my favorite Kiss album. So I want to check that off the list. So that's something I'd like to try and find in 2025. But what I want is the availability in this day and age to not just make it for the Uber collectors, but make it for the average Joe. Like, actually physically take orders for it. Leave it open. By the end of the workday, the 9 to 5 workday, we're going to take orders, and then we're going to place that many copies, and then maybe have an extra 10 that we're going to have, whatever that number has to round out. I know somebody could say, well, Rob, actually, they print them in batches and they're blah, blah. In this day and age, when you can do things make to order, do it that way. That'll bring all the scalpers down, that people are just buying it to them. I can find Hot in the Shade picture discs on eBay right now for $200, $300. No, not doing it. Eat it, collectors. Eat it, scalpers. And I hope nobody out there has FOMO, like, I really need this. No, shaft them, let them sit there, and let them stew on it and going, you didn't want this for the reason that a collector wants it, to have it in their collection because it means something to them. It's a favorite album of it, or you just want to have another version of that album and not have to pay these crazy scalping prices, and to go, the t-shirt that you're putting with it isn't even a good design at all. Who's designing this stuff? So a year out from this, for me, Kiss the brand Pop House is dropping the ball of what you think that we want as collectors. So yeah, us record collectors and doing these prompts are talking more of like going into a record store, hopefully being able to find a first pressing of Revenge, or, find something on eBay or through another collector or something like that. But I want the availability, if this vinyl trend is going to continue, is if all you're going to do is just re-release these albums over and over and over again in perpetuity until, our grandchildren are discovering these albums, at least make it in availability for people to get, because what it's doing is, for some of us collectors, is just crossing our arms and going, I don't need it. Let the scalpers have it. And then I'll wait another 10 or 15 years when you've sat on it for so long, then I'll scoop it up from you. But I'm not paying the $200 on a 2024 release or a 2025 release. There's some albums coming up in this next year that are hitting some milestones that I would love to have, but I'm already cringing at the fact of going, what stupid cockamamie thing are you going to tie in with this record that I'm going to have to buy, that I don't want the shirt, or you're going to make the price point higher? That's like getting a Live 3. That was the last anniversary album that I got. I really was thinking of getting the picture disc version of Revenge. Again, it was pushing the $100 spot. I had the money for it, but I was like, I don't need it. I just want a version of the 30th anniversary of Revenge with that fiery flame record, and it's fantastic. It looks great. I'm glad I have it. But I had a moment to stop and think and go, do I want this? It wasn't like I had to make this decision at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, or it's going to be gone in 30 seconds. And going back from Revenge backwards, a Live 3 back, when they were doing those for a while, the records, even Greatest Kiss, stayed up for a while. I think a whole year almost had gone by, and they still had some copies of Greatest Kiss. The Galaxy vinyl, which was really cool. I'm glad I got that. So that's what I want out of 2025, is the availability to get something and not have to have FOMO, not have to overpay stuff that we shouldn't have to, and not have to buy other things to just get the vinyl. I might be more apt to buy a bundle and go, oh, that shirt's kind of cool. I'll buy the bundle of the vinyl and the shirt and the playing cards, but don't force me to buy the vinyl, the shirt, the playing cards if I don't want it, when all I want is the actual album. That's my rant. That's number 10 is just the availability. Thanks to everybody. Tales of a Kiss Geek, Kiss Army Things. It's all for you, Demon. In my head channel. Kiss Army Things. Did I say that? Did I get everybody correct here? The record spinner. How could I forget the record spinner? What a great prompt. I can't wait to see more. And that's actually going to make me probably want to try and do one on my other channel, Rogue Record Music, that I want to get off the ground in 2025 and talk about some other things and other bands that I'm into musically. And I'm fingers crossed that the Carusos and myself can get back on track here and get a proper episode up. But in the meantime, this will be a placeholder for us. So on behalf of Nick and Nico, I'm Rob. You've been watching and listening. We'll see if I do an audio version of this one or not. Maybe kind of hard since it's a show and tell, but I may put it up anyway. Of Right Between the Eyes, a podcast where we love it loud. We'll see you in the next episode. Take care.